everyone, it's Adrienne. Welcome back to my channel. I live here in Los Angeles. I have actually lived here for almost 8 years, but the first 4 years were while I was in school. I went to Loyola Marymount University here in LA. I moved here from Seattle. So really, I've only been living on my own here in LA for about 4.5, 5 years. And out of those years, I would say that I've been completely financially independent from my parents pretty much 3 of the years. I've lived in 2 different apartments here in LA, and I feel like I have a pretty good gauge on the cost of living and just like how much things cost and whether I'm spending way too much money or, you know, a good amount of money. In today's video, I'm doing something pretty fun. I'm gonna be talking about what I spend, how much money I spend in 1 week as a 27-year-old living in Los Angeles. Now, I just turned 27, like literally a couple weeks ago, so I feel like I'm freshly 27. But you know, someone in their 20s who is self-employed, I'm an entrepreneur, I live in Los Angeles, and I'm gonna go through what I spend in a week. You guys have probably noticed a lot of people posting these videos, one being my roommate Morgan included. We were talking about it last night, how fascinating it is kind of looking at other people's financial situations and what they spend money on. It really makes you think about your own spending habits and whether they're good or bad. Honestly, I'm making this video for 2 reasons. One, I wanna be able to show you guys the things that I spend money on. And 2, especially as I'm now in my upper 20s, I wanna be a lot more fiscally responsible and also just aware of what my spending habits are. And I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes I'm the type of person that like hides from looking at my bank account for like months at a time because I actually just don't even want to know. I tend to just swipe without thinking, and that's not a great habit, especially as I'm really going into adulthood. So in the video, I am going to first predict what I think that I spend in 1 week. So I'm gonna make a couple predictions. Then we're gonna actually go through my literal bank account transactions for the last 7 days. So today is November 5th. We are gonna go through October 28th to November 4th and just really go down the line of what I'm spending money on the daily basis. Something that I'm predicting right now is that I tend to spend the most money on reoccurring things that I have to pay for, like rent, utilities, insurance, subscriptions, things like that are definitely what I spend the most money on. And I'm gonna kind of divide what those monthly fees are into a week, because I don't want you guys to have a skewed perception. I want you to be able to see, okay, these are the things that I have to pay for to like live, and these are the things that I spend money on for fun or whatever else, because I do think there's kind of a difference there. Like I would say my overall cost of living is probably expensive because of living here and everything that I am subscribed to and all that. But in terms of my actual just fun, random spending money, I think I'm doing okay. Okay, so this is a given, but every single week here in LA is way different. Sometimes for my job, I end up traveling a lot, and lately I've been traveling a lot less because I've really wanted to just stay home and be in a routine. But when I am traveling, one of 2 things can happen. It can either be really expensive because I was the one who booked the trip and I'm paying for hotel and food and drinks and fun and everything, or I can actually spend way less money than usual because maybe a brand is sponsoring the trip and everything's being paid for, or it's for something for work and I'm actually spending less money than I would at home. So every single week is different, and like I said, I do have those recurring charges. So of course at the beginning of the month I pay a lot of bills for that month, and so it doesn't necessarily divide into a weekly payment. I also definitely spend way more money if friends are in town or if it's like someone's birthdays, so of course that varies week by week. But I'm gonna guess overall that I probably spend like total in a week like $1,000 to $1,200, and again that's including like rent, utilities, all that stuff. I would say that's probably how much I spend. I want to say probably like $400 for like my fun stuff and my food and whatever else, and probably about $600 to $800 on everything else that I need. But honestly, I'm the worst predictor ever in the entire world, so who knows if this is gonna be accurate. It'll be funny to actually see. And by the way, I understand that that sounds very high, but I'm talking like every single thing that I pay for in order to live. I feel like that's not actually that bad. That would bring me out to around $4,000 per month, which I mean, okay, for someone in their 20s, it does sound like a lot, but I feel like I'll explain. Okay, here are the things I do know. I spend a good amount of money on like groceries and food. I do try to cook at home, so I buy a bunch of groceries, but I also am a big fan of eating out and going to bars. I for sure spend the most money on going out to eat or getting Postmates or like going out to bars on the weekends. I should definitely cut down my spending there, especially because I do like to buy groceries and sometimes I buy too much food. I don't spend a lot of money on coffee. In fact, I spend no money on coffee. I only make coffee at home. I don't even like coffee from coffee shops. I actually like really dislike Starbucks. I used to like it, can't stand it. So I definitely save money in that category, and I've been watching a lot of people who have said like they spend a ton of money on coffee, so that's a plus for me. I also spend a lot of money on my gym membership, but this is an expense that honestly over time I've realized is the most worth it expense. When I was a little bit younger, I used to like look at the price of my gym and be like, oh my gosh, that's way too much, I can't afford that. But then I thought about what else I was spending that same amount of money on, like food and trips. Literally 2 nights of going out could be that same price as my whole month of a gym membership. So as I got older, I decided to 100% prioritize my health. I actually use my gym membership, and that's, I think, the most important part. People often feel like they're wasting money on memberships to gyms, but that's because they're not using them. I also don't spend like any money on makeup, skincare, clothes, shoes, because I'm super lucky and fortunate to be a YouTuber and to be someone who likes to review products. I get sent a lot of things from brands, so I don't spend like really any money in that category, which is crazy and also extremely lucky. But it's funny because it really evens out doing the type of job I do. I get perks like that where I don't have to pay for, you know, clothes and makeup and things that are expensive that a lot of you guys probably pay for. But on the flip side, I don't have any benefits. I don't have a full-time employment where I get health insurance, where I get dental insurance, and, you know, all of these like 401k, all this stuff. So I'm also paying a lot more there, and I'm paying a lot of taxes for being self-employed, but you guys are probably paying a lot of taxes too. Taxes are taxes. Let's just get right on into what I actually spend in a week. Alright, so first we're gonna get into my reoccurring monthly expenses, and I'm gonna break it into each week. So reoccurring expenses. My very first one is rent, which comes out to $384.29 a week. Then we got my student loans. My student loans come out to $64.54 a week. Actually not bad when you break it down into a weekly price, but you know, still annoying. Our internet bill luckily is split 3 ways by our roommates, so I only pay about $6.25 a week for the internet, which is super nice. The water, power, utilities bill is actually only paid once every 2 months, so 15 bucks a week on water and power. My car insurance comes out to about $42.08 per week. My health insurance, this is one that takes a huge hit to my wallet because, again, I'm self-employed. I actually pay a total of $487 a month. So that comes out to $121.85 a week. I pay renter's insurance on my apartment, which only comes out to $5.25 a week. And then all of my subscriptions, so like my Google Drive, my iCloud, I have Adobe Creative Suite, I have Spotify, all of those subscriptions come out to actually only like 13 bucks a week. I think I used to have more, and I actually went through and canceled a lot of them recently. So that means total for all of my reoccurring charges is $643 a week, which is actually pretty much exactly what I predicted. Okay, so my first transaction on October 28th is an Uber transaction for $8.21. I actually had to check Uber and see what this was. This was Saturday night, or I guess technically Sunday morning, when I Ubered from one bar to a friend's house. So it was an $8 Uber. We went out, but we didn't go that far, which was actually good. So I actually spent way less money in this night than usual, because also the bartender at the bar we were at gave us like 5 free drinks. So actually, that was pretty good. My next transaction is from that actual bar, so I forgot. Like I said, I spent only 13 bucks on drinks, but I actually tipped the bartender 30 bucks, because when you get free stuff, you kind of should tip more. So I ended up spending $43.14 at that bar. So that's more of a pretty typical bar spending situation. Next, on October 29th, that was a Sunday, my next transaction is from a Mexican restaurant. One of my friends from home, who I haven't seen in years, came down to California, and we ended up getting dinner at this kind of nice Mexican place. So I ended up spending another $43.32. Again, that's not something that's super typical. I mean, if I do go out, it can be that much, honestly, because everything adds up. If you get alcohol with your meal, it adds on another like $20 to $30. If you don't get alcohol, it's not that expensive. So this was definitely a more expensive meal. I ended up paying for parking that cost $14. So I actually went to Santa Monica and met a friend for some drinks, and normally this parking lot is free for the first 90 minutes, but we ended up hanging out for 4 hours. So we were just like chilling, catching up, getting a drink. Yeah, it cost $14. So that is also not a typical expense. Normally I would either Uber somewhere or park somewhere that's not that expensive. Whoops. My next expense is from the actual restaurant slash bar that I went to with that friend on Sunday. So my transaction says $90.66, but he actually Venmo'd me about 60 bucks. So really I spent about $30 at this restaurant. Again, it's kind of a lot, but I did have 2 drinks and lunch. That's actually not that bad, I feel like. This was actually just a very social weekend, but then again, I feel like a lot of my weekends are social, so this is bad. This is good that I'm going through this. My next transaction is October 30th. I went to McDonald's with my friend Haley, and I spent $8.75. So that was like my breakfast slash lunch, I think. So, I mean, not the best in terms of health or money, but whatever. And then the rest of the 30th, I actually didn't spend any money. I only deposited money. So moving on to October 31st, Halloween, which I actually didn't end up doing a whole lot for Halloween, so pretty good I think, but we'll see. So my first transaction is from GoFundMe. Okay, that bartender at the bar that we got the free drinks at, his friend was in a super bad motorcycling accident, and so I actually donated $23 to his GoFundMe. I wanted to support him, so I feel good about that expense. Next is a Postmates order, Sweet Green, $19.46. Postmates is a really bad habit because it doesn't need to be that expensive. The salad that I got was probably $12, which is still like overpriced for a salad. That is a typical LA thing, like a salad being $12, that's a lot. That's definitely something I should cut my spending on for sure is Postmates, but honestly, it's so bad that we have things that make life that convenient because sometimes you're just like, I'm working, I'm in the middle of something, and if it's more convenient to order food, then sometimes I do think like, hey, no, it's worth it because I can get more work done in this hour that I would be going out to go get food. Next, on October 31st, I have a $2.28 charge from Apple. I don't know what that is. Maybe I bought like 2 songs for a video. I probably did. So whatever, that's pretty standard. My next expense, also on October 31st, was a Venmo transfer of $181.98. So this is like atypical. The reason that I had to send this was to Janine, my old roommate. She hadn't charged us for our internet bill for like 6 months. So that is like not a typical transaction. That was literally 6 months of internet for me, but I did pay that all in one sitting, so I don't know. Moving on to November 1st, my next transaction is gas. So, okay, my gas cost $58. Gas is very expensive right now in LA. I have a small sedan, and so it usually doesn't cost that much to fill up, usually like 50 bucks. But I think the good thing for me is that I work from home, so I don't have a weekly or daily commute anywhere. So I do drive some places, but I drive way, way, way less than the typical person. I spend way more money on car insurance than I do on gas. So I did happen to fill up this day, which I think I probably fill up once every almost 3 weeks, but most people with like 9 to 5 jobs fill up like at least once a week. So I do feel very lucky in that regard. My next transaction is a late fee, but it got reversed because I didn't actually pay my bill late, so ignore that. My Postmates tip of $1.95. I don't know why they didn't just include that in the other thing. Okay, November 2nd, I spent no money. But November 3rd, the first thing is Mendocino Farms, $18.07. So this was actually for a business meeting. When I have a business meeting and it involves food, I do spend money. Sometimes I'm the one paying for the other person. Sometimes they're paying for me, depending on what kind of meeting it is, if it's like a client or something like that. This time, we both paid for our own food. It's something that I can write off as a business expense. So honestly, not that bad, but I did spend $18. I think it's because I got a drink. And again, like certain restaurants in LA, actually a lot of restaurants in LA are just inflated in price. It's just a lot to like go get lunch. So I try not to do that, but for meetings, sometimes it's just unavoidable because you gotta eat anyway. So I feel like in that regard, it's actually less of a waste of time going to a lunch meeting because you have to eat anyway. That's my logic at least. My next 2 transactions are more Postmates, again from Mendocino Farms. I think I did this for lunch on November 3rd and I spent way too much actually. I spent $22.36. Wait a minute. Okay, there are 2 Mendocino Farms charges on the same day. This is why we look through this because I think that's wrong. One was for $22.36, but I didn't buy 2 things. So I need to look into that, but let's just say one of them is accurate. Probably the $22.33. I think what I probably ended up doing was getting a drink and a sandwich and a side. No, you know what? It was Lauren and I, we both bought sandwiches, so it was about $25.08 total, which again is a lot. I need to stop Postmating. Whoops.
As I'm literally eating Postmates right now.
Moving on to November 4th, I have an Uber charge for $11.59. This Uber charge was from a party on Saturday night that I actually left first. I left at like 11 p.m. and I went home alone, so we didn't split the Uber. It was 11 bucks. If they had been with me, it would have been like 3 bucks. So next on November 4th is a $6.99 charge for a website called Free Prints. There's an app called Free Prints. You can order like photo prints, and I wanted to get some for my wall, so I spent $6.99. I'm pretty sure that was just the shipping because it was actually free to get the prints, which is weird. Okay, November 4th, I have a $111.07 interest charge. So this is a long story that honestly doesn't matter, and I need to go figure it out and argue it, but we're gonna ignore that charge for now. Next is another Uber for $15.96. That was also on November 4th. All right, Uber messes me up because these charges weren't actually on the 4th. This was from like days prior. The next transaction is from Bakari PDR. That is a restaurant where I went to one of my friends' engagement, little brunches, like engagement celebration brunch. All I got was 2 sides and 1 drink. I didn't even order a full meal and it was still 24 bucks. So that just goes to show like the inflation. It's honestly mostly with alcoholic drinks. So if you are under 21, you probably will spend a lot flawless money. The next transaction is $42.75. I withdrew cash at a sushi restaurant that I went to with my friend Haley. I remember us both just being so lazy and in weird moods and didn't want to cook, so that was definitely unnecessary that we spent that much money on sushi and beer, but yeah. All right, you guys, so for my grand total of like fun expenses, so not my like monthly reoccurring charges, the total is $406.23. I cannot believe how accurately I predicted that. And I also feel like I spent a little bit more money this time than normal because I postmated a lot and I don't usually, but I also didn't go grocery shopping this week, and normally I spend about 100 to 115 bucks at Trader Joe's every week. Overall, this is very eye-opening. I am supposed to sort my transactions every week or every month, but sometimes I fall a little bit behind, and it is always good to look through your transactions, both because it becomes real that you're spending this much money and you can really decide like if you value what you're spending money on or not, but also because you can catch mistakes. Like I found that Postmates mistake. I did not order food twice in one day, even though sometimes maybe I would, but I didn't, and they actually charged me twice, so like I need to go fix that. Anyway, overall, living in Los Angeles is definitely like a pretty expensive place to live. The cost of living is definitely pretty high, but considering that the space that I have, the location that I have, I pay a pretty good price for rent, and I feel like everything else isn't too crazy. Granted, I do have a skewed perception because I grew up in Seattle, which is also very expensive, and I've never lived in a small town where everything is like dirt cheap. People's rent is $500, so I'm not used to that. So for me, I don't feel like I'm living too crazy. I don't feel like I'm, you know, making a ton of money but like spending a ton of money. So overall, this was very interesting. I hope you guys found this helpful or just insightful, or randomly you just wanted to watch it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and if you guys want to see anything else like this, let me know and leave me a comment and we'll talk about it. That's all for this video. Love you guys so much. Bye.